Our phones can be a double-edged sword. They allow us to have our groceries be brought right to our door and pay bills without ever needing to drive anywhere. But they can also be time-sucking vampires that rob us of precious moments in life. And while they're meant to improve our productivity, often the constant beeps and never-ending scrolling end up doing exactly the opposite. And we become ever distracted and find it difficult to be productive. Hey guys, I'm Yessie, and today I'm going to be sharing with you how I organize my phone in a way that helps minimize distractions and improve productivity. So I'll share with you the 10 tips that I use to help me use my phone in a way that adds value to my life, rather than create addictive phone habits. This is actually a two-part video, so if you want to see how I actually organize my phone to keep it minimal and clutter-free, then I'll leave that video down in the description box below. And if you want to see more videos on minimalism and living life more fully with less, be sure to subscribe for more positive videos like these. Tip number 1 is to declutter your apps. The first thing that I did when I purchased my new phone is that I went in and I deleted any of the apps that came with the phone that I knew I wasn't going to be using. So I recommend that you go through your phone and declutter any of the unnecessary apps. And if you find yourself thinking, I didn't even know I had this, then it's probably a good sign that you don't need it on your phone to begin with. And this is a big one. Declutter any of those apps that become addictive for you. And by this, I mean those apps that basically suck up your time without giving anything back in return. For example, if you know that social media is one of your biggest time suckers, consider taking a social media fast, where you delete the app for a certain period of time, let's say a week or a month, and then just see how you feel after that period of time. You may find that you feel better off without it. And the same goes for any buying or purchasing apps. Years back, in an effort to reduce my online shopping, I deleted all of my online shopping apps. So basically, for me, my biggest culprits were Amazon and Target. And by deleting these, I kind of created a barrier to help with impulse shopping. If you struggle with impulse shopping, just doing this alone can be a huge help, because this now makes it so that you actually have to open up a tab and log in and search for the item and put in your card before purchasing an item, where before it was just easy. You just type it in because it's already on there. Everything's already loaded. You may find that just doing the simple thing can really go a long way to help you reduce any of that boredom or just random shopping that you didn't really need to do. Tip number 2 is huge, and it is to disable notifications whenever and wherever you can. I have disabled notifications on all apps except for, of course, phone calls and messages, but for me, Duolingo, which is where I have my daily French lessons. And I want it to notify me because it lets me know when I have missed a lesson. So I kind of want to be nagged at for accountability and just to create a positive habit. But for those apps that you know you should be spending less time on, or that you want to spend less time on, go in and disable notifications, or at least alter them in a way that they are less distracting, so that you can still know that you have a notification, but it won't actually buzz or beep or try to get your attention. Often those beeps and buzzes are the biggest culprits that throw off our focus. Tip number 3 is easily one of my favorites, and it is to have a home for your phone. This is something that I implemented after having kids because it became so important for me to be able to have one-on-one time without a phone physically in front of my screen, just to help me become less attached to this device. Because unfortunately, the great majority of people have like a mini panic attack the moment they realize their phone is missing, because we're just so used to it being attached to our bodies, whether in a purse, in a pocket, or under a pillow, which I know is not you guys, right? So physically creating a barrier or having a designated place where your phone stays when it's not in use can really help to kind of ease that separation anxiety. So that way you can get to a point where you can go throughout your whole day without even realizing that your phone is missing. For me, I place mine in this mail holder that lives right at the front door. So this way, if I get a call or I need it, it's still handy. But it's also out of sight, out of mind. Tip number 4 is to sleep several feet away from your phone. If you want to be more productive and get things done, you have got to place a high priority on your sleeping habits and making sure that you sleep well at night. I can't tell you the number of times that I've pushed myself to get a project done, sacrificing sleep in the process, only to end up sick and having to recover for the next few days. So if you want to improve productivity, sleep is crucial, but having your phone right beside you or underneath your pillow is not going to help you to sleep well at night. For one, the blue light lowers your body's ability to produce melatonin. And 2, it just makes it much more likely that you're going to be getting distracted if it's in close proximity to you and you just have to kind of reach over just to check one more thing before you go to bed. And that one more thing suddenly becomes 2 or 3 hours of scrolling. And by the way, if you want to hear more about how to create a better sleep routine so that you can be more productive, check out my video on how to wake up at 5 a.m. I'll leave that video down in the description box below. Tip number 5, in order to help you reduce visual clutter and minimize distractions, use a calming image or even a blank solid image as your background color. And this can also help you save battery life. I used to swap out my backgrounds all the time, just like social media had trained me to do. And now I have a landscape photo that is serene and calming to look at. And maybe I'm a mean mom because I don't constantly change out my background for pictures of my kids or my husband. But you know what? I choose to look at them in person. And for me, that's really the whole point. It's about knowing what actually matters to you and reducing those things that keep you from living life that you want to live so that you can truly live and savor life, rather than just going through the motions. Tip number 6 is to keep only the basics on your main screen. So think of the apps that you use more frequently. And no, I don't mean the addictive apps. By keeping only those necessary items or just the main things on your main screen, it makes it less likely that you're going to get distracted by a little notification or just the desire to check on another app. This way, if you go to place a phone call, it just makes it much more likely that that's the only thing that you're going to do. Tip number 7 is to disable Raise to Wake. One of the things that you will notice with my phone is that it does not automatically turn on when the screen is raised. I've purposely turned off this feature to minimize distractions. So this basically just makes it so that I actually have to tap or physically click on the screen in order for the screen to activate. So this way, if I happen to be moving my phone around without actually having the intention to use it, I'm not going to be distracted by the phone subliminally telling me, "Look at me." Tip number 8, hands off. Utilize the Siri or Google or Alexa or whatever you have that can allow you to speak to your phone rather than being physically in front of your phone. I think I've said this before, but the more hands-off you can be with your phone, the better. Because anytime you go to touch your phone, it's going to be much more likely that you're going to do something else other than what you intended to do. I love using the Siri function. I can use it to send messages, to place phone calls, to turn on and off our smart bulbs, or schedule appointments. And doing this makes it so that I can use it when it's in my little cubby and I don't have to actually go get my phone, or I don't have to be in front of this screen and then face the possibility that I'm going to get distracted by doing something else. The more hands-off you can be with your phone, the better. Tip number 9 is super simple, super fast, but it can also help you save on battery life. And it is to go through and delete all of your search tabs, message threads, voicemails, calls, etc. Sometimes we don't even realize that we have like years worth of messages on our phones that we don't really need. It's just one more thing to look at, one more thing to get distracted by. So doing this can be a quick little thing to do that can save your battery life and just have less to look at, less visual clutter. And lastly, number 10, use sleep mode. This is one of my favorite hacks for improving productivity and minimizing distractions. Set a sleep mode to automatically turn on around the time when you usually go to bed. I've mentioned that I work as a home nurse, and unfortunately, my employer does not provide work phones. So I constantly get messages about work all the time. So I have my phone set to automatically silence messages and calls at night. And what I love about this is that you can set specific people on your favorites that can call you or notify you if you want them to. So for me, for example, they have to call me twice in order for the phone call to go through. And I did this specifically because, for example, when John was a newborn and sleep was such a precious commodity, if I miraculously got both kids to nap at the same time, the last thing that I wanted was for my mom to call me just to check up on me and for the call to go through. So in this case, what it meant is that I had to let people know, if you want to reach me and it's truly an emergency, call me twice. I really recommend you have a set schedule at night that's automatic that you don't have to think about, but if you have a project that you really want to focus on, utilize it during the day as well. Don't let people invade on your time and energy when you're really trying to focus on something that truly matters to you. If you can take anything from this video, let it be this. If you don't respect your time, no one else will. That's all I have for today's video. I hope that it was helpful for you. If so, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe so you won't miss when I post a new video. I thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.